powód, że nie wydaję po polsku poradnik jest, że po angielsku mi jest lepiej wytłumaczyć, co robić i co może nie działać. Dlatego teraz będzie po angielsku, ale jeśli na tyle osób będą chcieli, żeby nagrał po polsku, to też później nagram po polsku. Hello everyone, welcome back to an OMSI 2 tutorial. This time it's going to be on how to change out the matrices in a bus. By this I mean changing out the physical model and not the fonts. Changing out the fonts is a whole different process, and even if you want a different font on the display, even changing out the script might be easier. So for this you'll need Blender, you'll need either Notepad++ or normal Notepad also works, but I recommend using Notepad++. I am using this newer Blender version, 3.6 here, just to be able to import the bus, but even on an older Blender version like 2.79, there are plugins to be able to import whole models of buses. As you can see, the whole bus has been imported. As you can see, the textures are a bit different to what we have in the newer Blender version, but the reason for that is I am using Investo's plugin for this. I recommend this plugin, even though it is paid, I recommend it, as it can also decrypt files, and it just kind of works better than the one I linked down below last time. I will link the old plugin down below, but if you do have the money, go support him. He did make a phenomenal plugin that also decrypts buses from DLCs, for example the MAZ M301, and even the Hamburg DLC ones. So what we will be doing first of all is we will need to figure out what the matrix model is called. Now here our matrix model is called vol matrix underscore text. You can also find this out by the same process in Blender here, but only it says it up here instead. And now we just need to get into Notepad++. Now I also recommend copying the folder of the bus that you are going to be modding. This is just for safety purpose. If you somehow manage to mess anything up and the bus does not spawn at all, you can go back to the original state and then just redo everything and hope that it works again. Now, as I mentioned, you don't need Notepad++, but I personally use it as I just feel like it's better for doing configuration files than normal Notepad, as it shows you everything in fancy colors. So we press Ctrl F and we search up vol matrix, and I can see here we have vol matrix underscore text, which is what we were looking for. So now we can just remove all of this, and boom, we're halfway done already. Now on the Bendy bus, if you are doing it, you'll need to open the trail file. The name should be the same-ish on it, at least here it is, because we have different folders for the front and the rear, so we just do the same here. Now we have this left. You don't need to remove it, as this is what we will be putting the matrix into and what we will use to know where we need to put the matrix. You can also just double check by pressing this matrix itself, and you can see, oh yes, this is indeed what we are going to put it into. Now, not every bus is like that. We are lucky here to have the model of the matrix being on and off be a separate thing from the matrix housing itself. Some buses use the matrix housing as a matrix off too. So to get around that, go into the textures on the bus you are modding and paint over the matrix diodes so it looks realistic enough. I'll not show it in this video, as it should be easy enough to do for anyone. Now I'll just quickly get rid of this bus here, as you will not need it now for anymore. Import the housing for the matrix display first of all, which is going to be in here, and then we just have to find it, which is named matrix in here. Now you can see we have it inserted in here. Also, while I'm at it, I will insert the rear of the matrix display here too, as this will just make it easier. We won't have to open separate Blender instances. Now we know where our matrices will go. Now we have to put something in there. To do this, we have to find our matrix models. For this, I'll be using Sobol's matrix displays here, which can be found on the model. Just do whatever bus. For this, I'll be using the Rubino 12, as that has every single matrix display. Exterior, then matrix. This is the path here, if anyone is wondering. And then we just copy the matrices we want. For this, I'll be using flip dot, so it'll be rear flip dot. Hello, I'm back with another voiceover. I feel like I did not explain this well enough in the video. For non-Polish people, what PODW means is that you have two separate matrix displays. One is for the destination and one is for the line number. As you can see on this bus, we have room for both line and destination number. Although the POJ one, which is just one matrix display that has both line and number. Now I'm going to be copying the separated ones, as that will be easier to show you on the bus itself here. Now that we have the three files copied over, you can just copy them. So just make a folder, for example, called matrix, which I will be doing, matrix. And just copy it in here. Now we are not fully done yet. We just need to copy over the texture files for these matrices. So we'll go into texture, and these texture files are called VM Sobol, and then we just copy over all of these. Depends on what flip dot you will be using, because there are two types of flip dots which I will show you on later. Now just copying them in here, and now we are half the way done. So now we just need to open these files in Blender. So just import the files themselves, matrix and front. I'll do the front display first. As you can see, here it is. If you're using, I just would like to say, if you are using the plugin I linked down below from Sobol, you will have two separate entries in here. One will be on 1 and one will be 0. It's important that you select both of these when exporting, or else you will get a 2 error. Here we don't have that, as I'm using Vestu's plugin. It just combines both of them in one. So now we just need to place it on the matrix display housing. One thing you can do is if you want to resize it and not just necessarily move it, you can do set origin to geometry. As this does not have any animations, and this will not mess up any animations anyway. And you can then resize it like this, or even down here. Or also you can resize it like this if you're feeling like you want it stretched, which I will not be doing. So now that I think it looks good, I can export this. Make sure it has the texture itself when importing and exporting. If it's missing a texture, then that just means you are missing the textures in the texture folder. So just copy them over. Now for the side display. It's going to be a bit more complicated, but not that hard in the end, as we have 3 whole matrices to put here. For this tutorial, so just select the matrix, press tab, and then I personally don't like this matrix display on the side here, but for this tutorial I will be using it. Just select everything like this, and then just move it to the right place. Like this. And also check if it's wide enough in there. So we'll be doing the same on these two. Now, as you can see, they are behind the matrix display, so I'll just hide the matrix. And I will select these both at the same time. Now remember, you'll have to select both at the back and the front, as those are technically separate textures on this model. They're separate objects, as you can see, because they aren't fully connected. And then we can turn on the matrix display again. So, what we will need to do. First, we'll need to size them correctly. So, as these are not in the correct positions, we'll have to select these. We'll have to select this. And we'll have to move it into the right position, just like we did earlier. And then we can do it on this one too. Just try not to select any of the other matrix displays that we have inserted in here, as this is very easy to move all of them and mess something up. Now also, I just want to show what happens if you mess it up. For example, if you don't select all the nodes properly, then you'll get this type of stretching effect. So when that happens, just press Ctrl Z and you'll be back to normal, and then just select everything again. And just put it in here. And then we can now that we have it in the place that we want it to have, now we want to have it, we can export it. And now the rear display. So just import the rear display, and it's going to be just like the front display. It's not very complicated. And now that I have it imported, it's going to be just like the front display. It's going to be very easy. So just set origin to geometry, or if you want to set it to a 3D cursor, you can just do origin to 3D cursor, and you can see it goes to the front there. But I won't be doing that, as it's just easier to select the origin to geometry. Now we are done placing all the objects and where we want them, so now we can get to the config editing. Now, you will have to open the bus that you are modding the displays from, which are going to be, on this example, the Solaris Rubino 3rd generation. So, open the config, and for this you can open whatever else one here. I know Sobol has done a lot to divide the config files, but you can just open whatever one here. For example, I'll open the Rubino 12 2.0. Now just find our displays we are wanting to take. So there are going to be two differences for the flip dot displays. This doesn't, if you are using LED displays, skip to this time below here. I put some down there, but there are going to be two differences between our flip dot displays here. One of the differences, there are going to be two differences between the flip dot displays. One of them is going to be that one of them have flip dot LED displays, which just means they have LEDs in all of the separate flip dots. One of them has flip dots, but with only a backlight that lights them up when the lights are turned on. How do we know which one is which? Well, someone has done it like this, where he puts light stand for the ones that light up with the lights. As you can see here, these are the ones that have separate diodes in all the flip dot flippers, whatever you call them. For this tutorial, I'll be using the ones that have the backlight, the separate diodes in every one of them. Remove this visible entry, as that would just mean that it's going to be invisible if it's not set to that one variable. Now we just also remember to change this mesh here to matrix, and then the name. If you named it something else, then you can also change the name here. Now we'll need the side matrix displays. Side. So just search up side, and we'll be having to use the PODW ones, as those are separated ones. Also, I personally like separating these with 3 stars here, just to make it easier if I'm searching for one object. Now also name this and remove the visible here. I'd just like to mention you can have a mix of both LED and flip dot displays. Nothing will stop you there, and the script will work just like normal, at least on these displays. Every script will work differently, and etc, etc. Now also one very important step, you have to copy the script textures. Now we just have to scroll up and find the script textures. So it'll be these two, I'll copy into the bus here. And just find this old script textures, and you can remove them. There'll be no text textures in this one tutorial, as we don't really need them for matrix displays, but it can also depend on what matrix display you are using. Some need script textures, some need text textures. I'll be using script textures for this one. Now do the same on the rear of the bus. So just copy the script textures in here, save of course, remember to always save. Now we need to copy over the scripts. Now It depends. Personally, what I like to do is when I'm making a dedicated bus where I know I'll be using RNG or a pixel, I will use that or only one font in the script. Now we just copy the horapixel folder from the bus we are copying the matrices from, and we put it in here. Now we can also remove the file if there are any excess files. You can remove them, and now we have these 4 files. Now, I'll be honest, I do not know how to do set variables in matrix scripts. What I will do in this tutorial is show you how to get only one font on the display and not have to bother more with it. For this, I'll be using VS Codium. This is basically open source Visual Studio Code. Now for this tutorial, I'll be using Pixel. So we just find the font we want to use, as you can see here, Pixel. And then we just get rid of the ones that we don't need. Now that we have our script, we can remove the end if and if. And then I will do Shift and Tab, which removes an indentation. That just kind of looks better for me. Now this is the same process for every single other matrix display that has a set variable font. Now I will be honest, I do not know how to do set variable fonts, so I will not be showing how to do that right now. I am showing this method because this is what I already know how to do. Now that we have done the font, we can go back to the .bus folder. Now, if you watched my IBIS video, you know already how this file works. This is how we basically show the bus that there's a script for the matrix. Now, this isn't like adding an IBIS. Here, the bus already knows that there's a matrix. So what will we do in that case? I'll replace it with a new matrix script. So, just replace this with our horapixel, which we're using in this tutorial, and then just replace the name, which is going to be, you can just copy this, right click, rename, copy like this. And we'll be doing the same for all of these other ones. So you can copy this and put it everywhere where we need it. Although remember, the script might have a different name, or a const file might have a different name. Always remember that, always keep that in the back of your mind, because that might cause problems later. Now we are basically done. Now I'll just boot up OMSI and show you the bus. We can now see that we have the matrix displays in here, and if I, for example, do this destination, everything shows up correctly. Now let's try putting in a line number. Everything works properly like it should. So that's how you change out a matrix display. Now, I'd just like to say every script is going to be different, every matrix display is going to be different. These are just the scripts I have here. Yours will probably not work the same way as mine do. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everybody.